Thank you for joining us today at hashtag Can Youth Vote Matter and hashtag Can Minority Vote Matter awareness campaign. Today we are very pleased to tell you that we are with Mae Lindo, NDP MPP Kitchener Centre. Thank you so much, Mae, for being with us today.
Thank you for coming to visit me.
It's an honor to have you on here. So, Mae, could you please tell us a bit about yourself, like how you got into politics, your political work, and your political struggles?
Sure. I'm going to start somewhere kind of interesting. Just the other day, I had said to somebody that I'm new to politics because I'm newly elected to politics. And they explained to me that because of the work that I did to help racialized and marginalized folks access higher education, that I have always been political. So I think it all started when I was a child, born and raised in Scarborough, Ontario. Do you want to start there? I'm pretty old.
Sure.
No? Yeah? We're going in? Okay. In Scarborough, Ontario, I was in a very, very multicultural community. I often, when I would play outside and that kind of stuff, I saw a lot of different people where I was born and raised. But as I got further in my educational career, you would see less and less of the racialized people in school. And I think that was around the time that people would start to talk about something called streaming. And that's when in the educational system, guidance counselors, sometimes our teachers would suggest to us as people of color that our bigger dreams, our bigger aspirations weren't possible. So if you wanted to be an engineer, they might tell you, no, that's a bit hard. Or if you wanted to do something with math, they might say, that's a little bit rough. If you were a musician or if you wanted to play basketball, those are the kinds of things for you. And coming up, being raised in that kind of an environment, that was kind of the backdrop of a lot of the work that I did. So I went off to university. I did a lot of my work in university on anti-racism initiatives in teacher education. And not too long ago, it would have been in 2014, I was hired to be the Director of Diversity and Equity at Wilfrid Laurier University. So I was responsible for all of the equity programming for all of the campuses and all of the sites at Laurier. I was responsible for the employment equity portfolio, and I was responsible for the gender violence prevention program there, which was kind of cool to be doing all of that work and being able to do it sort of intersectionally. So thinking about sexual assault prevention and what that looked like for somebody who was Black or somebody who was Indigenous. Didn't look the same. You wouldn't necessarily go to the same support systems as your white peers. So one day, there was a week actually where we had a number of racist incidents on campus. One prime example that always sticks with me, a young person went to the bathroom at Laurier, and when they closed the bathroom stall door, there was a swastika etched into the door. And so because I was in charge of the equity programming, the complaint about it and sort of how are we going to mobilize as a university community came to me. So I met with the senior leaders and we wrote a statement, which you often do. So we wrote a statement, we said there's no place for hate here, we have to fight racism, this is unacceptable. We made sure to take care of getting the swastika off the door, all of that stuff. But shortly after that, we had 2 or 3 other instances of racism, overt racism on campus. So I ended up meeting with the senior leaders, and we realized a statement wasn't enough. So I decided to host a summit on the status of race and racism on Canadian university campuses, and I only invited senior leaders. So if you were an assistant vice president or the president of the institution or vice president of the institution, you were allowed to come. And the idea was people have power in the institutions, and if we don't get their buy-in, we can't address racism on campus. And so on the day of the event, we had about 17 universities and colleges represented. 150 people came out to Kitchener to talk about racism in the post-secondary sector. And the very first session, I had politicians because I thought it was really important to have all of us working together. So not just the administration, not just the students fighting, but everybody has to be hearing this and being part of this move. And one of the politicians that was there, actually I had put out a call to all sorts of politicians, only one arrived, and that was Catherine Fife, the MPP for Waterloo. And after we were done that day, she got in touch with me and she took me for coffee, and she asked me if I would consider running for politics. And I said no, I would not. So she took me out for lots of coffees, many, many coffees. For people out there that have ever met Catherine Fife, she is a fighter and she is persistent, and she made sure to get what she needed, which was to make sure that a different voice was brought into the political system. She supported me throughout the entire election campaign, and now here I am as the MPP for Kitchener Centre. And I think I bring a different voice to the political realm, because I'm not somebody who's a career politician, and it was never part of my dream to be in political office. So I'm very much rooted in my community, and I refuse to let go of some of the anti-racism work that I was doing before, even though I'm in this new role. So that's a little bit about me.
Thank you.
No worries.
So, why do you think the youth and minorities votes matter? And what steps can be taken to get them more involved in the election process?
I love that question. That's such an important question. And it's coming at an interesting time, because youth movements are the movements that are actually changing the face of politics right now. We had, not too long ago, over 10,000 kids, youth from middle and high schools across Ontario walked out of their classroom to challenge the government when they rolled back the health curriculum. And those youth that organized in that way were standing up for what they believe is important when it comes to education. That's their own means, that's their own, that's them standing up for their dreams, and that's them making sure that no politician takes away their hope, right? And I think that that's brilliant. So youth matters, youth voice matters, minority voices matter, because it's their world. We're going to leave this world to you folks. And so we've got to make sure that we have a clear understanding of what you need. We have to have a clear understanding of what we should be fighting for. And I don't need to fight for stuff for myself. I need to fight for things for the future. And the more of that fight that I do now is the better life that my kids and my kids' kids are going to have in this world. Youth also are closer to the experiences of the changes, the legislative changes that I'm a part of at Queen's Park. So I can talk theoretically about what's needed in healthcare or education or in affordable housing or schools, like being able to access different schools, all of that kind of stuff when you're thinking about post-secondary. But the real impact is on you. So when I change the health curriculum, it's not me that's impacted. I graduated from high school far, far long ago. But you're in school, and so you have to speak out and let us know, how is that changing things for you? What are you afraid of? I've had queer students come to me, write to me, visit me, invite me to their campuses and to their schools, and they have talked about how difficult it is for them to navigate the health curriculum when we don't talk about what a healthy relationship looks like when it's a same-sex partner. Mm-hmm. And so we have to have that voice, and we have to create a space for that voice. When it comes to racialized kids, Indigenous kids, Black, brown, all of those kids, they're often forgotten. I was just at a meeting actually before this, and I was talking about music programs, and have you heard of the GAHU project? So the GAHU project was a project that brought together a number of high school kids, and they used music to talk about racial justice work, and drumming, African drumming, to talk about racial justice work. And there was an assumption that a lot of the music programs is where you would find racialized kids, that Black, Caribbean, identified kids and African kids would be in our music programs, but they're not there. And so if they're not in places that we think they are, and they're not in the academic streams, because we know that a lot of times they get pushed out of those streams, where are they? we have to make sure that we provide spaces for them to tell us what they need so that they feel that they can be a part of the arts programs, so that they feel that they can be part of those academic programs. And we need to set up a new generation of politicians because you're the voice of the future, and you need to be at that table to be able to make decisions about what Ontario looks like.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
I would like to thank Laura Mae Lindo for her valuable input on the importance of youth and minorities votes. Remember, hashtag Can Youth Vote Matter and hashtag Can Minority Vote Matter. It does. It does. Thank you.